The Turn On Your Inner Light show. It's time to stop just surviving, and it's time to begin to thrive. It's time to live happier and healthier. Turn stress into strength. Noted author Debbie Mandel will show you how to move beyond personal doubts and fears and into positive perception to turn on your inner light. Here's your host, Debbie Mandel.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to my show. Our guest expert is Peter Walsh, a clutter expert and organizational consultant. He was a regular guest on Oprah, featured organizer on TLC's Clean Sweep, and he hosts his own show, Enough Already, with Peter Walsh on the Oprah Winfrey Network. And most importantly, he is the author of Lighten Up. Learn how to live on less and feel so much richer. Boy, do I love that phrase you came up with. Welcome, Peter.
Hey, thank you so much, Debbie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Peter, what does it mean to be wealthy?
Well, for me, it means to be happy with the life that you have. I think one of the fascinating things, and you know that I go into people's homes all the time, helping them declutter and basically get rid of the excess stuff in their homes. And what I've seen is that so many people are caught into this idea that more is better, that if they can just acquire the right things, if they can buy the right things, they will acquire the life that they want. And so many people attribute wealth with happiness or happiness with wealth. And what's very interesting to me is that so many of the homes that I go into where people have chased more stuff, have pursued what I call the more, while in some ways they have a ton of stuff, but in many ways they are just sadly poor because their lives are littered with this stuff and generally their relationships are pretty much in a tough space.
Oh, that's an interesting point. So the more stuff we have, you see a correlation that our essential relationships get obscured or confused. And I think when a home is cluttered, you kind of don't invite people in.
Well, you know, and that's absolutely true. That's one aspect of it. But for me, take it back a step for a second and think about the way we talk about clutter. I went into that room and there was so much stuff I felt suffocated. I couldn't breathe in that space. Oh my God, there's so much stuff in my garage. When I go in there, I feel buried. It's interesting that we use those kind of words about clutter. And I think that's because inside us, we know that when our stuff takes over, that's what it does. It robs us of life. And when you think about it, it robs us in so many ways, not just socially in the way that you mentioned when we're embarrassed to have people into our homes, but it robs us psychologically because we feel stressed, or it robs us in our relationships because we fight, or it robs us spiritually because we can't be at peace in our own homes, or socially, as you led with, because we're just too embarrassed, or our kids are too embarrassed to have people in our own homes. And so, you know, when the stuff takes over, it affects, I see, every aspect of our lives. And to the point of my book, Lighten Up, that usually where there's a clutter problem, there's also a financial problem as well.
Yes, you're constantly buying, you're not letting go, and I think because, as you say, you are stressed, and we all know there's retail therapy.
Well, that's, you know, it's very interesting that again, to step back and ask, you know, what's retail therapy about? You know, and generally that's about whether it's stress or as a result of anger or feeling overwhelmed or just looking for that rush. We tend to charge out and buy stuff, again, as a way of perking us up, you know, as a way of giving us, you know, a rush of happiness. And the interesting thing is that searching for novelty, that searching for a rush, is absolutely a component of searching for happiness. But the problem in looking for happiness in retail therapy is that the moment you have purchased an item, the novelty is gone. So we chase the novelty thinking something new will bring us happiness. When we buy it, thinking it will give us happiness, What we're actually buying is the novelty of the item. But the moment we buy it, we lose the novelty. And so that's why buying stuff, at the end of the day, can never bring us the happiness we're looking for in objects. It just doesn't happen.
That's a fine point. And you know, we're raised to buy stuff,
Absolutely.
to accumulate. But nobody has taught us how to let go. And in life, you're going to have to let go. As you make a point in Lighten Up about the debt, there's always the credit card bill. After the novelty wears off, I'm left with the bill of what I bought. Did I buy that? Is that worth it? And how do we start the process of letting go when I've never been taught how to let go?
Well, look, I'm not suggesting that people should become monks and stop buying stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But for me, it comes down to a very fundamental question. And again, this is another aspect of the chase for happiness. That a component of happiness, where people are happy, one of the characteristics that they have in their actions is what I call mindfulness. They're mindful of their actions. And so for me, the step of letting go, or the step towards not acquiring stuff we don't need, is to introduce a component of mindfulness into the stuff we buy. And by that I mean, does the stuff you own, does the stuff you buy help you create the life you want? If you're standing looking at an object and trying to decide whether to buy it or whether to keep it in your home, the question to ask is not how much does it cost, or not where will I put it, or not is it a bargain. The question to ask is, will this object, or does this object, help me create the vision I have for the life I want? Does this object move me closer to what I want in life? And if it does, and you can afford it, knock yourself out. But if it doesn't, if it jeopardizes that vision for the life you want, why are you buying it, or why is it in your house? And that, to me, is a fundamental question. Be mindful of what you have and what you acquire.
You know what I ask myself regarding my stuff? I ask myself if it inspires me.
Well, see, that's the same thing, to inspire, to fill. Inspire actually means to fill with spirit.
But let's hold that thought for a moment.
Okay.
And we're going to a commercial break, and we will fill up with that and return to Peter Walsh of Lighten Up.
Now you can take Debbie Mandel home with you. Her book, Turn On Your Inner Life, Fitness for Body, Mind, and Soul, will help you decompress with healthy, positive, concrete solutions. Common life challenges are presented so that you can quickly find the help you need. Emotional tips, original meditations, and a fun and easy-to-follow fitness workout for each mindset. This revolutionary new method will help you rewire mind and body to take back your power. Get it on Amazon.
Are you overwhelmed with the burden of taking care of children, parents, or both? Are you taking care of everyone else except yourself? It's time to change your habits and re-energize. Debbie Mandel gives you an innovative and easy-to-follow program for good health and happiness. In her magical new book, Changing Habits, The Caregiver's Total Workout, Debbie Mandel shows you step-by-step how to find the optimal balance between giving and receiving, and guides you to exercise and eat right to take care of yourself. What are you waiting for? Read Changing Habits and start training for your life. Life does not need to be a burden. Get Changing Habits, The Caregiver's Total Workout on Amazon.
You're listening to the Turn On Your Inner Light show. I'm your host, Debbie Mandel, and I'm speaking with Peter Walsh, author of Lighten Up. Okay, Peter, inspire me.
Well, can I just tell you, you just gave me a complete aha moment. Seriously, you just gave me a flash of insight that when you say your stuff, you want your stuff to inspire you. If you think for a second, the word inspire means to fill with spirit. And so my question is to you to frame my question a little differently using your words. What spirit do you want in your home? What mood do you want your home to evoke in you and the people who come into your home?
Well, I can tell you that in one word.
What is it?
Hospitality.
See, so then, and this is so wonderful that you say this, because I then would say to someone like you, then when you are looking at an object, do the objects in your home welcome people who are coming into your home? Does it create a hospitable atmosphere, or do they create a feeling of being overwhelmed and crowded and unable to breathe? And for me, that then becomes the inspiration that determines whether you buy something or not. That then becomes the vision, in my language, or inspiration in your language, for what you bring into your space. And it's a question that everyone should ask about every space in their house. What is the spirit they want in this space? And does the stuff they own help them create that spirit, that mood, that vision? It's a great insight. Thank you.
Well, I got one now, too. I got my aha moment, because that really means to me that whatever room I walk into the house, how do I feel in this room? Do I feel happy? Because you make this point about happiness in Lighten Up. And in the word lighten up, it's like enlightenment. It's to feel lighter and to feel happier. What makes me have a romance with life in my house? And I think we need to do that. What I found fascinating in the book was this point that you made, because I'm very kind of out there, and you anchored me in the solidity about the concept of clutter per square foot. Could you tell our listeners? I thought that was amazing.
Well, it's fascinating to me that one, there is so much stuff in people's homes in the United States. On average, the average American home has 350,000 items in a home. If you just count every single piece of stuff in a home. And the thing is that so many of our homes are so... I'm not sure if I'm answering exactly the question, because there's a few things about the square footage, and I'm just trying to cover a few of them. Mm-hmm. The second thing is that the fastest growing rate of real estate in the United States is storage units, and people not only are acquiring stuff and their homes are full, but now I think it's something like 3 or 6 square foot of stuff in storage unit space for every American in this country. So we're filling our homes and then buying stuff and paying to store it, but never using it as well. And so one of the interesting things about the acquisition of stuff that I ask people to look at is where the stuff is that they own, and then start looking, whether it's in a storage unit or more specifically in a home, how much of the space, your living space, have you given up to your stuff that is unusable because of your stuff? So suddenly your home becomes like a storage unit, and you're paying to store stuff, but not being able to use that space to live the life you want. So many people are kind of having an affair with their stuff, like a secret mistress, paying for it, supporting it, not being able to use it, and being stressed by the very stuff that should give them happiness. Which
now, if you put it that way, having a lover and not using a lover, that's like, Peter, hey, that's really useless. I like that.
Well, it's really funny to me that, and interesting to me that in this country, I think for most of us, the concept of sexual infidelity, that a partner might be sexually unfaithful, is a horrible thing. And it's regarded as possibly the worst thing in a relationship. And yet, one of the things I talk about in the book is that I think it's like 80% of couples say they keep financial secrets from their partner. And for me, this whole question of financial infidelity in a relationship is one that seems to be okay. I talk to many people and they say, I have a secret credit card, or I have a secret bank account, or I buy stuff but I don't tell my partner about it. I put it in the trunk of my car or under my desk at work. And And for me, if that's the basis of a relationship, then no matter what you do financially in terms of trying to create a budget or stop buying that $3 latte to save a couple of bucks or whatever, none of that can be successful if the life you're living is based on financial infidelity. And yet, as I say, for many, that seems kind of okay, which I really struggle with.
Yes, and you make this wonderful point, because what's worse, an emotional infidelity, as money is a core value, versus a physical infidelity that was just a fling? And we don't realize that. I would advocate that before someone marries or commits, to have a money conversation.
Oh, if I were close to you right now, I would kiss you right on the lips for saying that.
All righty.
It's absolutely true. But see, this is the interesting thing, and this is where my book starts, actually, that most couples are terrified of having that discussion. Terrified. And it's interesting, as I said, 80% of couples say they have financial secrets. 85% of couples say they argue about clutter and the stuff they bring into their house. But most couples are terrified of having that financial discussion, of opening that up, because they fear that once they open that box, they will never be able to close it, and it will escalate.
And also, it's not even romantic. I mean, when I'm in love, I'm not thinking money, and I say how crass, but we should. But we're going to commercial break.
Right.
And we will return with Peter Walsh, author of Lighten Up. Dear listeners, I'm excited to tell you about my new book, Addicted to Stress. This is the message you need to hear. Are you addicted to stress? Do you do it all while everyone depends on you? Where's all this pressure coming from? It is coming from inside you. This is why my publisher, John Wiley, asked me to write Addicted to Stress, a woman's 7-step program to reclaim joy and spontaneity in life. This fun-to-read book teaches proven strategies to reclaim your life, silence your inner critic, build a healthy body, and reframe your thoughts to change your life for the better. Dare to be happy without the guilt. Addicted to Stress is easy to get. It's available at Barnes & Noble and other fine bookstores everywhere. You can also buy it at Amazon and other online retailers. We're back with Peter Walsh, author of Lighten Up. Now, I loved one of the concepts you brought out in Lighten Up, and that was we buy a lot of things because of the Joneses.
Yeah.
Now, Peter, how do we close our eyes to those Joneses? They're right there in my view.
Well, I think the first thing is just acknowledging that we're all caught into that, we're caught into a society that says if one is good, two is better. The idea that, the moment you get a salary increase, you get a raise, you get a promotion, it's like, we should get a better car, we should get a bigger house, let's go and buy some new clothes. And I think it's very easy to measure our own success against the perceived success of our neighbours, of someone else. And the problem with that is that it's totally artificial, because what you're seeing in others is actually, one, generally not the reality. It's their projected reality. Their success may not in any way be reflected by, the stuff they've bought, the stuff they've acquired. And number two, if your life is about imitating your neighbour, then what's the basis for your life? And I come back to, the point we both made earlier about what do you want from your life? What's the vision for your life? What inspires you? And if your neighbour's latest cocktail dress or new BMW is what inspires you, then I would push that one step further and say, what the hell are you teaching your kids? Like, what's the criteria for success in your home if it's all about, do I have the latest, the newest, the fastest, the shiniest? You know, and isn't that just a variation on, you know, the kid with the biggest toys rules the sandbox? It seems pretty sad to me.
It does, and it perpetuates itself, as you said. And I liked your turn of the phrase, and you made this point in the book. What do I want from?
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you clarify your linguistic variation?
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting that we're taught from an early age to use the word for, F-O-R. What do you want for Christmas? What do you need for your house? What should I buy you for your wedding? What do I need for this new room I'm decorating? Absolutely the wrong question to start with. The question you should start with is a question using the word from. What do you want from your home? What do you want from the holidays? What do you want from your relationship? What do you want from this room? And if you start in that place, it transforms the way you use your space and the way you live your life. From my master bedroom, I might need a bed for my master bedroom, but what I want from my master bedroom is a sanctuary, a haven, a getaway. I want it to be romantic and relaxing. I want it to be a retreat. So if that's what you want from that space, you get those words in your head, and then you start looking at the space and saying, what do I need then for the space to give me what I want from the space? It will change the way you look at things completely.
It does, because it takes you into yourself.
There you go.
You get into greater depth, which has been the goal of Lighten Up, I think, to take you into the process of how to support yourself, like as though you had a totem pole.
Well, you know, it's interesting to me that whether it's, you know, about the stuff in our house or the food that we eat or the money that we spend, it's easy to think it's about the stuff or the food or the cash. And in actual fact, in each case, it's not about those things. That if we want to change our financial situation, it doesn't start with creating a budget. It starts with having that honest conversation with your family and, you know, your partner and your family about where do we derive happiness? What do we want from our financial life?
And on that happy note, our time together has been totally delightful. My author of Lighten Up. If we want to learn more about you, do you have a site?
Sure, website's easy, peterwalshdesign.com. I also have a very cool app that you can get from the Apple Store, the Get Organized app that will help you apply all of these principles in every space in your home. You can check that out too.
And in your soul. Be well, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Affirmation of the week. What have you and your muse been up to lately? And now for the latest medical trends. Patients who are taking antibiotics can avoid diarrhea by taking probiotics along with their antibiotics, something to consider. Although the average Facebook user has some 130 friends, in reality, Americans have on average slightly more than 2 confidants, finds a new Cornell University study. 2 out of 130. So we don't have to keep amassing them, do we? Researchers were surprised to find that in some cases the protection afforded by, in quotes, Leatherhead, those early 20th century football helmets, they're often comparable, and get a load of this, or even better than that provided by the 21st century varsity helmets currently in use from the American Association of Neurological Surgeons directly to you. Maybe we need to go back to the past to fortify our future. College students who have served in the U.S. conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan are more likely than their non-veteran peers to use tobacco, drink in excess, and engage in other behaviors that endanger their health and safety, according to a study that appeared in the latest issue of the American Journal of Health Promotion. State policies banning all sugar-sweetened beverages in schools are associated with reduced in-school access and purchase of these beverages. However, and this is a big however, these policies are not associated with a reduction in the overall consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages, according to the American Medical Association. And another point made by the American Medical Association is that integrating a coach-led neuromuscular warm-up prior to sports practices appeared to reduce the risk of lower extremity injuries, particularly in female high school soccer and basketball athletes. Well, we come to the close of another show. I have an educational website on stress management, totally free. TurnOnYourInnerLight.com, where all the radio shows with the guest experts are archived for your listening pleasure. Subscribe to my free newsletter at TurnOnYourInnerLight.com, and you will receive the latest radio show with the hot new guest of the week, the health tips fully delineated, and a fresh new article on stress management emailed directly to you from TurnOnYourInnerLight.com. Have a wonderful week and see you on the radio.